Hi, my name is Keith and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about shadow work and confronting your shadows. Now, this topic is something I don't even touch upon very often. It's one of the most necessary topics ever, but it seems like it's a giant topic that people take for a joke online, and they never actually do it. So people are like, oh, I'm doing shadow work. Oh, I'm writing things down about myself. I'm like, you do that any other day, and that's not shadow work. But this video is talking to you all about actual shadow work and what it actually is, because people don't even know what it is, and misinformation is going around online about what shadow work truly is. Now, true shadow work is basically very painful. It really does suck, and it's not something that's fun, but it's something that's very necessary, and you're never going to progress unless you actually do it. So you might as well do it correctly, right? I actually stopped looking into what online says about shadow work because I was literally cringing at it. I was just like, no, that's not shadow work. I'm like, this is really hard to read. I'm like, oh, these people are not doing shadow work correctly. People are not teaching it correctly. I'm going to give you a crystal in this video, 2 crystals or a few crystals to do actual shadow work. And basically, like I said, it's necessary for growth. So what is shadow work exactly? We, as people who move closer to the light, people who move closer to God, people who move closer to the highest version of yourself. You want to become the highest version of yourself? Well, for the people watching my YouTube channel and YouTube videos, it's all about moving to the highest version of yourself. You want to grow, and you have to do certain things to allow yourself to grow. Hands that are full are not hands that catch blessings and they don't receive blessings. Shadow work is literally opening that up so you can just take your hands and receive the blessings. So shadow work is very painful. It does suck. It takes a really honest person with themselves to be able to properly do shadow work, and even if you're not even sure how to do that correctly, moving about certain crystals such as obsidian will help you guys do that. Now, like I said, I would highly suggest you take what you know about shadow work, and for the sake of this video, as you watch this video, I normally say take what I say for a grain of salt. When I'm speaking about this video, just take what you know online and just throw it out and reset it. And then by the end of this video, when you're done watching it, you can decide if you want to take this video for a grain of salt. But I'm just so unimpressed with what I've seen online. How you do actual shadow work is you get a journal, maybe with a red cover, whatever. And you really go into, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest. Some people like to put on a face of happiness, put on a disguise of happiness, but they're not truly happy. You have to find yourself at a soul level. You have to go in. If some people are not able to go in, so going in with a crystal such as obsidian is really going to help. Obsidian really forces the shadows out, and it can make a person very, very ugly as a person, just so the ugliness comes out fully and it's released. It's kind of like a hot knife getting heated up to 100,000 degrees and then pulled out. But some people leave the hot knife in because they're a person that it can't get pulled out. Now, with shadow work, like I said, obsidian is the go-to crystal. If you can't do it yourself, then use a crystal such as obsidian and put it on different chakras. Wear it as a necklace, wear it as different bracelets. You can put it just, if you're brave, you can put the obsidian on your crown chakra, but each chakra has different shadows about it. So your solar plexus chakra, your feelings, your emotions. So when you put obsidian over there, you're probably going to do a lot of crying. You put the obsidian over your root chakra, you're probably going to do a lot of yelling, screaming, and you're going to want to take off somewhere. You just put the properties of each chakra with each attribute that has to do with shadow work. Now, like I say, I highly suggest you journal, and when you journal, I talked about this in previous videos, write down not just the good things about yourself, write down the bad things. If you have a bad thought that pops into your head, write the bad thought down. Track where that bad thought came from and confront it. Most of you have relentless shadows that keep coming back because you've resisted the shadows. You try to push away the shadows by resisting them, but if you resist, those thoughts and those shadows will keep persisting and they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, there's shadow work on different levels. There's shadow work with abundance and prosperity. There's shadow works with love and relationships. There's shadow work with family and friends. The shadow work with your personal appearance and how you feel like you look. I highly suggest you pick one of them. You pick one to start with because you're going in. Shadow work gets intricate. It gets deep. Notice I'd entitled this video Shadow Work because it's so much to the point where people think it's a joke and it's goofy and spirituality is fun and playful. It's the same people who think that. I mean, like I said, your body is a gym when it comes to spirituality. I mean, when your spirituality, your body is a gym. What's the best way to say this? You have to exercise your spirituality and you have to exercise your physicality. The tongue twister. You have to exercise your physical body and you have to exercise your spiritual body. If you don't exercise in the physical world, you're going to fall out of shape and things are not going to look very good for you. In the spiritual world, and this is where people think it's okay. You can't not be spiritual or not do anything spiritual or anything working on your spiritual etheric body, or you're going to fall out of spiritual shape and everything's going to fall apart. You have to take care of both sides of you. We're literally spirits driving a flesh vehicle, okay? You have to take care of the spirit who is driving the vehicle, and you have to take care of the vehicle, okay? Very easy. When you're doing shadow work, pick one shadow topic. Now, and this is not going to be fun, because for what you've been thinking is right your whole entire life, it might be wrong. That might suck to accept. Maybe it's wrong in a sense that it's, let's just say, and I see this with people who work basically minimum wage jobs. I'm not saying it's bad if that's what you like doing, but for people who want to break out of their minimum wage job, they'll have to confront their own shadows on their beliefs and what the minimum wage job does for them. So your belief is actually what manifests everything else. So if you believe something, it's going to come true. If you believe you have to work that job and you can't start your small business that you've been waiting years to start because you're going to have to keep working that job until a certain point, you just put an own limit on yourself. You just put you just cast a shadow around you. It's your own belief that's actually hurting you and that's actually not helping you, but you want to grow, but you didn't confront that belief and it's just sitting there in the shadows. You might try to resist it. It might get worse. A few years go by and you're still doing that miserable thing you don't want to be doing at your job. You don't want to wait till you're until it's very late in your life and you don't confront the shadow at all. And then the shadow is gigantic. It's enormous. It's engulfing you. And it's too late at that point. It's never too late, but it's too late for what you would have wanted to do 20, 30, 40 years earlier. Confront them now. When it comes to shadow work, don't wait till tomorrow. Do it now. Because do you want to be... And another limiting belief. Some of you are like, oh, okay, I'll be wealthy in like 10, 20 years. Why not be wealthy now? What's stopping you from having it now? You put a time frame on it, and when you finally get to that time frame, there's a shadow that basically says that, yes, you think you're going to do that in 10 years when you can already do that now. It's just confronting limiting beliefs that literally just put a wall around you, put shadows around you that don't serve you. And like I said, this is going to be a very uncomfortable. Some of you might be getting very uncomfortable watching this video right now. Wait till you start going deeper into shadow work. You start doing deeper personal things. Now let's talk about a little bit about and this is wonderful. If you're getting uncomfortable, this is the goal of shadow work. By the end of shadow work, you should be crying, but then you should be feeling strong. You should be getting a new strength. You know what? Screw this job. I'm gonna start my business now. And then that rage and frustration and you confronting that shadow actually turn into you getting your business off the ground, and now your business is carrying your whole family because you confronted the shadow that you thought you had to be at a minimum wage job to be able to support them or support yourself, and you really got out of that cycle. Now let's talk about another shadow. This video is supposed to make you uncomfortable. This is not even the beginning. This is not the beginning. This is nothing that has nothing to do with the beginning. Let's just say you're single for all of your life, or you just have bad relationships. Let's go into the shadow. I'm going to tell you, I don't want to spoil the shadow work for you, but when it comes to shadow work, we are our own worst enemies. And in confronting that and accepting that, we realize, hey, I think I'm the problem the whole time. The reason I keep attracting horrible people is because the energy that I put out. That's the thing that you're going to have to discover in your shadow work. You have to confront why things don't work out for you and then take responsibility. this is going to be really tough. If you don't attract people at all, you could be a beautiful person on the outside, but that doesn't mean anything on the inside. Maybe your relationships have all been arguing, yelling, and screaming. Maybe your relationships have been no communication. Now you have to take into account, was that relationship 100% that person's fault? Or was the relationship supposed to be equal parted, and you put in some effort, they put in no effort, there was no effort in the relationship? In essence, take personal responsibility. If you are someone who has bad communication with everyone you come along, the problem's you. In the end, all the problems is us. If even with shadow work when it comes to trauma, if you have a trauma regarding, what do you call it? Let's just say you have a trauma going to clubs because you had a very giant problem with someone. Go back to the trauma and confront the trauma. Okay, why was I at this club? Wait, it was the friends who I was around. It's the actions I was putting off. It's the behavior I was putting off. It's the energy I'm putting off. When it comes to real shadow work, you're going to do a lot of self-confrontation. You're going to take a lot of personal responsibility. It's going to feel super awkward. It's something you're not going to want to accept. It's something you're not going to want to do. It's something that sucks and it's painful. And maybe you are not able to do this by yourself. It's fully understandable. That's why God puts crystals such as obsidian on the earth. Now, when you wear obsidian, and I would put lots of obsidian around you. I have chunks of obsidian around my house, just massive chunks of obsidian everywhere. I've scattered it just to make sure that, I even put it near my bed. And some of you, when you work with obsidian, especially near the bed, you'll get some of the worst nightmares. They're not actual nightmares. They're what's in your subconscious mind that's trying to come out because you're being your own worst nightmare. So let's just say, I'm not going to go into dream interpretations at all, but when it comes to nightmares relating to the subconscious mind, put obsidian by your bed if you feel brave. And some of you are not going to be able to do this, so I won't prescribe it. If you feel like the obsidian is too harsh, put it next to rose quartz and clear quartz. The obsidian can go in the sunlight. I recommend when you guys work with obsidian because it is the shadow work crystal. I have an obsidian necklace on my website, floridastoneman.com. When you wear obsidian, all the shadows are coming out. And if you notice that, and pay attention to your attitude when you have obsidian on. If you are the worst person in the entire world and the nastiest person that was just sitting within you and it's now on the surface and needs to be removed, and when you get angry and confrontational and upset and you feel like crying when the obsidian comes out, start identifying the emotions so they don't come back. Obsidian will amplify negative emotions so they're released and they don't go back into you. That's an easy way to do shadow work. Work with obsidian, especially by putting it in the sunlight. You have to cleanse and charge it very often. I recommend obsidian as a necklace in jewelry form because obsidian has different properties when it goes on the yin versus when it goes on the yang. If you're going to get a bracelet of obsidian, which I always recommend necklaces first, I would get 2 at once because when you put obsidian on the right side, it will throw you off if you are completely traumatized and imbalanced because all your shadows are going to be projecting outwards. Remember, the right side is the projection side. This is my right. And when you put it on your right side, you're going to be crying, yelling, screaming, etc. You put it on your left, you feel a little more safe. You're getting the energy of the energy from the obsidian, but it's not being released. When you have it on both sides, you're literally channeling the energy of obsidian. That's what a necklace is for because it goes by your crown, your heart chakra, your throat chakra, your third eye chakra, your lower chakras, your heart, solar plexus, etc. And it's doing a whole bunch of releasing at once. And don't be near people when you're doing shadow work. I highly don't recommend that. If you go on a vacation, go on like a staycation, or wait till people are not around you or you're not going to see too many people. And when you do the shadow work, you're going to be miserable. But after, like, what's all the point of feeling miserable? What happens after you do the shadow work? You see new blessings like no one's business. If you have been your own worst enemy and that's led to you never finding a relationship or not even being able to stay in a relationship, let alone talk to people, then guess what? You're going to start talking to people again. You're going to be like, hey, I was the problem. I was unapproachable. I didn't have communication skills. I didn't know how to talk to people. I wasn't making eye contact, etc. You find out. And shadow work takes research as well. If you want to find out how you can be more attractive, you'll confront, and maybe you don't know. So the obsidian will help. Go online, research. What do other people find attractive? Okay, eye contact, smiling, happiness, What do people find unattractive? You bringing up negative stuff in the conversation, you looking away, you looking down at their shoes, you like just wandering off and being putting off uncertain energies, you looking at your phone the whole time. Like I said, shadow work's intricate, but once you identify shadows about yourself that make you unattractive when it comes to your love life, makes you unattractive when it comes to money, makes you let's talk about protection shadow work. Some of you guys are your own worst enemies when it comes to protection. Some of you think you're so cursed that you actually curse yourself. Congratulations. If no one's cursing you and you're constantly thinking that you're cursed, you're going to manifest curses for yourself. And sometimes people will say, oh, I'm going to put a curse on you. Or like a psychic will say that just to scare you because they know that you're going to manifest the curse for yourself. Even if they don't do anything. And then you'll live your whole life crazy and you think someone's cursing you and you're constantly manifesting the energy of someone cursing you. You are your own worst enemy. That's with everything. That's how shadow work begins. That's why shadow work's awkward. It'll leave you crying. It'll leave you yelling and screaming. It'll leave you being the worst, you might not be someone who swears or breaks stuff. It might happen when you do the shadow work. But after your soul is clear, you're not taking that shadow into the afterlife with you, and you don't live with that shadow life in the afterlife, because you better believe the shadows you don't confront on this plane of existence, they go straight into the astral plane. They go straight into the afterlife, and you're stuck with them until your next life, or if you get to come back. It's hard for you guys to face that, and some of you, some people who have so much shadows, when they move into the afterlife, their soul is heavy, so they are lost. They have a release. They're like, okay, cool, I'm not on that path anymore. But then what they did in their life weighs on them so heavily to the point where that person is a spirit in the afterlife, and they feel heavy, and they're not elevated. They can't do certain things. They can't really see their loved ones. They can't really do much on their side because it's dark. Face the darkness now and reap the rewards of nothing but goodness and light. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.